This is Radio TV Phono Nut, and here's a Westinghouse AM solid-state clock radio from the late 60s. This was given to me, and the person who gave it to me said there was juice getting to the clock, but the radio was dead. Now, the clock is not turning, but I can hear the motor humming, so it's probably just dried grease. Okay, let's turn it on and see what happens. Alright, we're on, and I'm not hearing one thing from the speaker, so yes, the radio is indeed dead. Now, let's see if we can find out why. Alright, here's the inside, and what looks to be happening is AC comes in here and goes straight to the primary winding of the power transformer, which is active all the time, and also to the clock motor. And then there's a switch on the clock that when you turn the radio on or when the alarm kicks on, it switches in the secondary winding of the the power transformer to the radio and provides power to the radio circuit board there. So let's see if we can determine what's going on here. Here's the component side of the circuit board. The board itself looks American made, and it was probably assembled in the United States, but most, if not all, of the components look to be Japanese. Alright, the black and white wires appear to be the primary winding where the AC enters the transformer. The red and green wires appear to be the secondary. There should be AC coming out of that at all times. And then the switch on the clock switches power on to the actual printed circuit board for the radio to operate. Alright, we're set to measure AC with the meter. Let's see if we're getting anything. Alright, we're getting 10 volts AC. That sounds about right coming out of the transformer, so that tells us that our transformer is okay. Now let's check the switch on the clock. Alright, now let's see if we have DC coming out of our diode here. Yes, we have DC, about 12 volts coming out of our diode, so our power supply is working. Now, since I'm not getting anything at all at the speaker, it's starting to look like now that maybe we have an audio output stage problem. Alright, looking at the primary winding, it's center tapped of the audio output transformer. B plus should come in here, and each leg of the outer leg should go to one of the audio output transistors. Okay, do we have B plus going in? Yes. Do we have anything on this leg of the transformer? Yes. Yes, so the transformer primary is good. Alright, I think we found the problem. Speaker voice coil is wide open. Now, I had to unsolder, of course, one lead from the output transformer so I could get an accurate reading with this secondary winding placed across the speaker voice coil, but yep, looks like this is the trouble. And yes, our meter's functioning okay. Alright, I have a speaker connected for testing. Let's see what happens. I hear static.
Prescription drug abuse by U.S. high school teens remain. They were here. It feels like Brooklyn. Was a fashionable markets from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And that's going to do it for cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip.
All right, there you go.
8 shows at once.
Now I just need to find a speaker, which shouldn't be too difficult. Maybe I can find something in a piece of junk around here. Yeah, Pioneer 8 ohm 0.3 watts. Probably about a 2.5, 3 inch maybe. I'll have to go measure it. But hopefully I can find something I can adapt to fit in this. I could have ordered a speaker off of eBay from China for a cheap price, and it would have taken 2 or 3 months to get it here. But instead I decided to rummage through my junk, and I robbed a speaker out of a little battery-operated Fisher-Price Kitty record player that I'm not really in any big hurry to fix, if I fix it at all.
Our troops, the military is more than a career. It's a journey. The time they joined.
The heritage of press since 1953.
Live, love, grow. You're ready.
Your neighborhood. Be sure to catch the Bearing Gardener.
Talk about took the child away from Tyreek Hill and his fiancée. Will tell you that they thought that things were
Well, it plays, but it
not going to be able to bring charges on.
leaves a little bit to be desired. Of course, I know part of that is due to the poorly engineered radio stations we have on AM around here. Seems like 1390 thinks they have to run everything wide open and overload the radio.
Right. So,
But I think part of it's due to the radio, so we're going to tear back in it and just see if I can find anything else wrong. Maybe a cap that's dried out. Just to show you how hot 1390 is, I have a cap jumped in the detector stage. The cap didn't help anything, but with the test leads on here, I can faintly pick up 1390 across the dial, so that just shows you how hot that station is. They really need to tone it down a bit. Alright, I had this gray cap jumped out. Now when I disconnect it, you can hear the change there. So I think that one needs to be replaced.
The intensity rises, even in our... Token3.com. Whether your goal is to live comfortably, travel the world, or have enough money to help grant
what they need to get. The issue that you've raised, and is one that I admit we are still working on, the problem is not with veterans. In the private sector.
Tuning capacitor, it's crusty at the low end, and I really don't like spraying cleaner in these miniature tuner capacitors because the cleaner can cause serious alignment issues.
Activities and lays out how to give, save, and spend wisely. Junior's Adventures.
Yeah, this thing actually sounds pretty good.
Created a community with experts and other caregivers for advice.
And just to show you on the cap meter, it's supposed to be 10 microfarads. It's reading 0.084, so it's essentially open. This is a Rubicon cap. And on that subject, you'll notice this is an axial lead capacitor, and those are getting harder and harder to find and expensive. In fact, just today I ordered a stash of caps and resistors from Mauser to replenish my stock. Nothing's more irritating than to be in the middle of a repair and have to stop to order something, and since caps and resistors are on the list of things that often get replaced, I like to have a wide variety of them here. Well, I was going to order some axial lead caps, but at the prices they wanted for them, I decided we'd make radials work. Now, I don't have the schematic to this radio handy, but just eyeballing the circuit, this looks like a bypass cap on the AVC line to keep RF to ground, to shunt RF to ground. with that cap not there, there's RF on the AVC line, and it can cause the problems that we were experiencing there. Distorted audio, oscillation, can cause motorboating in some cases, so that problem should be taken care of now. But yeah, we had to change at least one capacitor, so that should make some of my fans happy. Some people get turned off when they don't see capacitors being replaced in vintage electronic equipment, but you know, sometimes they need to be replaced and sometimes they don't. Like I've said before, a wholesale capacitor swap is often not the be-all end-all. There's often other things wrong with it. And in the case of this radio, had somebody swapped all the capacitors, it still wouldn't have played because the speaker would have been dead. So there you go.
Others during our days. Our days can be better.
Yeah, I found that the AM stations, they really don't care about quality anymore.
Every day can be better.
In fact, 1450, 1390, and 910, all three have FM counterparts. I think 1390 and 1450, they have translators. 910 simulcast on 102 FM, which is a full power station. And like I said, they really don't care about their AMs. The only reason they keep them on is so they can keep the translator.
Baseball if Yankee State announced the deployment of more troops to the region.
I'm starting to get some DX on the upper end of the band.
Could start enriching uranium at 20%, bringing the enrichment level steps.
Not much at the lower end. I've been working this tuning capacitor back and forth to try to see if I can get the crud out of the low end. I don't want to have to spray any cleaner in there if I don't have. Now let's see if we can get the clock to run. This is a west clock movement, which was common in the 60s and 70s, even in the 50s, I think. West Clock and Telecron were the two major timer suppliers for clock radios. Now we need to get the motor out of here, and to do that we have to pop this clip up here, and then there's another one at the bottom, and then we'll pull the motor out, and then the actual capsule that contains the gears will lift out of the winding assembly, and that's where the problem's going to be. Okay, just like that. Now we need to slide this capsule assembly out of the, separate it from the rest of the motor. It should just slide out. And there you go. What happens generally is the lubricant inside here gets hardened and then the gears won't turn. I've had luck fixing some of these, some of them not so much. I've had luck prying these open and oiling them. I've had some that I was able to put oil around the gear here and use heat to get this good and hot and let the capillary action pull the oil in. And we just have to play with this. I've also heard of boiling these in oil on a stove and letting it sink in that way. So we'll just have to play with this. It doesn't work in its present form, so what do we got to lose? Well, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to make this clock run, at least not without another one of these, not without a new rotor capsule. I first tried heating this up really hot and dribbling oil around the gear here. That didn't work, so I punctured a hole in the housing, oiled the crap out of it, applied more heat. That still didn't work. When I put everything back in the coil here, I can hear gears inside moving, but this outside gear doesn't move. And I feel like if I'm careful, I can turn it with a pair of pliers, but I think it's stripped on the inside, and there's not really anything I can do about that except find another one of these that works from a junk clock radio. Now, I looked on eBay to see if there was anything. There was somebody selling some of the coils for like $22, but no rotor capsules. I remember several years ago I needed one of these, and the cheapest one I found on eBay was like $50, and I said, no, it's not worth that. That's way too much. So for right now, we're just going to put this back together, and this is just going to be a radio only for right now. And I'll say that I'm not really a clock person. I'm more of a circuit board person, so if anybody has any tips on how to repair these without ruining them for future use, I'd love to hear from you. And you have to line your rotor capsule up. There's a little pin on the capsule that you have to line up, and then you slide this down back over it and put the little clips back in place, and that should be it.
Here's a dog. Maybe he'll outgrow it. Maybe.
Alright, radio's working, but no, the clock didn't magically start working. It's dead as a doornail.
Definitely do something to help.
Maybe is all you need to.
I guess my other question is, I would like to
Really.
Low end of the band's still deaf, but seems to be an issue a lot of times out here, so that may not be the radio's fault. Yeah, there's something there trying to come in. But I don't think this radio was ever meant to be a DX machine, so this is basically for local reception only.
25 homes have home security. That's why simply...
Right, I did just switch it.
Tops off everything that I could ever wish for. I've often wondered how a man who knew he was going to die could stand here and say that he was the luckiest man in the world. But now I think I know how Lou Gehrig felt. It's been a great honor. I'll never be...
Yeah, blow out my speaker, 1390.
Well, Kevin Love isn't on the same level as Anthony Davis, but if he goes to the Lakers.
Alright, there you go. That's about all I've got for this right now. Maybe one day I'll find a good rotor capsule and get the clock running, but
Here's the thing, though, Rusty.
radio's working fine.
Kevin Love was that third week.
You might remember a year or 2 or 3 ago, I had a very similar non-clock version of this radio. Well, it looked the same on the outside, but the inside was different. It had a Hong Kong chassis in it, and it didn't work as good as this one does, so this older one apparently is the better radio of the two. Now I'm wishing I still had the other one. I could have pulled the rotor capsule out of it and put in this one. But I ended up giving that one to the thrift store because it didn't play worth a darn, so I got rid of it during a clean out. Alright, there you go. Thanks for watching, and more to come later. Okay, I'm out of the shop. I'm actually under my carport, and 650 is coming in out here, but this thing is more sensitive on the higher end of the band than it is the lower end, and that seems to be the nature of a lot of these little radios like this. That's just the way they are. But that's definitely old Eddie Stubbs there, so at least we know this thing's not dead on the low end. Back in the shop with my hand placed on it, WSM is just barely coming in. I tweaked the trimmer on the tuning capacitor. Some other possibilities of trouble could be a defective oscillator or mixer transistor. I've seen those sometimes work well on one end of the band, but not on the other. And like I said, it could be just the way it is. A lot of these radios are more sensitive on one end than the other, so. Alright, I tweaked it for optimum performance on the lower end of the band, since 650 is about all I'm going to be listening to on this anyway, since that's about the only thing available on AM in the area that's worth a flip. Well, I'm out here in the dark with no fluorescent light on, and that helps.
C, a senior Russian financial...
To a SmartVestor Pro in your area. That's Chris Hogan 360.
Was 1290 gone off the air or what?
Sleeves. Who are you most... Into? And women who...
Yeah, there's 1290. I'm glad I went back in here. I wanted to double check some things. I looked at this IF transistor, and the soldering is very crusty on it. In fact, it wiggles when I move the parts, so we need to unsolder this and clean it up. That could be part of our problem. Alright, I'm ready to put it back together for the final time, and I disconnected the clock motor. There's no need of it heating up when it's not going to run, so that'll preserve the coil anyway. Alright, there it is. That's about all I've got for right now.
Either theft of it country or...
It was more...
The performance of the bottom end of the band is still lackluster, but I just think that's just the way it is.
The Politburo in Beijing is prepared to rip the Chinese